Our story is titled One Wolf's Family, from Season 2, Episode 17, originally airing on February 11th, 1990. Our story opens on a quiet home at twilight, where a woman named Greta is busy setting the dinner table. Suddenly, her husband Victor sneaks up and playfully grabs her from behind, causing them both to laugh. Greta playfully bites his cheeks, as the two lovingly embrace. She's surprised to see her husband home early, and Victor says that it's not every day their daughter gets engaged. Smiling, he pulls a bottle of bear's blood wine from his bag, saying that it's nothing but the best tonight for their daughter Anya and her future husband. Victor trails off, forgetting the man's name. Greta, smiling, reminds him that the name of the man their daughter is planning to marry is Stanley. Victor plays it off as if he was testing Greta, but it's clear he forgot. He hangs his hat on the hook, saying that he can't believe he's going to be a father-in-law, and does a little dance at the hope of soon being a grandfather. Greta is giddy, saying it's been years since she's seen him so happy. The two speak with a slight Eastern European accent, as Victor says fondly that this country has been good to them, and that they have a lot to be thankful for. Greta agrees, saying that having a warm home with loving neighbors is better than being huddled in a cave during the day and hunted at night by people who fail to understand them. It's clear the pain of their past still lingers. Victor brushes her cheek, saying that's all behind them now. Here, they're free to be themselves. Greta says that's not true with everyone, saying that their nosy neighbor, Miss Peabody, stopped by. Victor opens the fridge to get a snack. For a brief moment, a dead body is seen hanging like a piece of meat, as he asks what she wanted. But Greta booty bumps the fridge closed, giving us a small glimpse that this family might not be as normal as they seem on the surface. Greta continues, saying that Peabody asked if they had a secret pet, finding what seemed like big paw prints through her garden. Victor only smiles, saying that it serves him right for trying to take a shortcut, but says that it was worth it, fully opening the fridge to reveal it's filled with various body parts, heads, feet, hands, and the body of a jogger. Victor says it was worth it, continuing that the jogger was in good shape, but sooner or later he ran him down. He stands tall, exclaiming that he's still the leader of the pack, before playfully kissing his wife on the neck. Greta reaches in, grabbing a plate of bones. Victor asks if she'd like him to bury the leftovers in the backyard, considering they don't eat bones. She laughs and says they are for Stanley. Victor, confused, asks what she means, and a look of concern wipes away Greta's smile, saying only that he eats a bit differently than they do. He looks on, puzzled, saying that nobody would pass up fresh jogger meat. He coyly looks at her, asking if Stanley isn't one of them. Greta fumbles her words, saying that he changes like they do, but isn't exactly the same. Victor puts down his beer and begins looking concerned as Greta begins the hard sell, saying that Victor himself said America was a place for everyone and all types to get along and get a fresh start, making Victor all the more nervous. Already knowing what she's going to say, he turns away in disgust, as she reveals Stanley isn't a werewolf like them, but is in fact a were-hyena. Victor begins shouting no repeatedly, saying that his daughter isn't marrying a flea-ridden, grave-robbing, bone-eating coward before turning his back. Greta tries to comfort him. He turns around, baring his teeth, partly transforming in anger. He says he refuses to have a were-hyena in his home, let alone getting married to his daughter. Greta reminds him that is the old way of thinking, once again reminding him that everyone in America is meant to be equal and to have a fresh start. Victor snarkily responds, but that excludes were-hyenas, especially one named Stanley, and that he isn't stepping one paw inside their house. Putting her foot down, Greta buries the hatchet into the carving board, saying matter-of-factly that he will welcome Stanley into their home, sit at the head of the table, carve the jogger, and serve the wine, or he will have to answer to her. The two growl in each other's faces, their argument being cut short by the arrival of their nosy neighbor, Miss Peabody. She makes the excuse that she was making dinner and needs a cup of something, getting hung up on trying to find a reason to enter and snoop, saying that she needs a cup of cheese. Greta says it isn't a good time, but Peabody lets herself in. Greta covers the bones on the platter, giving her best fake smile as Peabody snoops with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Seeing the multiple meat books sitting on the counter, Peabody's fake smile momentarily drops. She looks around more, seeing the multiple surgical-level tools and hatchet next to a book on human anatomy. She tries to help herself to the cheese in the fridge, but Greta cuts her off at the pass, saying that she will get it for her. Peabody is already suspicious, and wanting a look inside their fridge, curses under her breath as she walks away. Greta grabs the cheese in a hurry, as Peabody has her back turned, already snooping at something else, asking where their plates come from. Greta hands her the cheese and hurries her out the door, saying that she is expecting their daughter and her fiancé any minute. Peabody, again probing for information, asks what the fiancé does for a living. And Victor, reading a magazine, interrupts, saying that he's a scavenger, adding that Peabody should be able to relate to that before continuing to read. Peabody drops all the acting, asking directly if Victor knows of any large dogs prowling the neighborhood at night, saying that she noticed all the paw prints seem to lead to their front lawn. Victor, tired of her probing, says that he does see a big dog around here from time to time, and that he sees it sticking its nose in everybody's business, bluntly referring to her. Greta growls at him, causing Peabody to look at her, confused, but she covers it with a deep cough, saying that she's fighting off a cold. Victor, finished toying with the annoying neighbor, says he's going to change. Greta then quickly ushers the nosy Miss Peabody out the back door, but as she leaves, Peabody invites herself, saying that she'll bring dessert, just as Greta slams the door closed. Turning, she whispers to herself that it's going to be a long night. Later that night, the whole family sits down for a meal consisting of various severed limbs for the family of wolves, and bones for Stanley. Victor watches in fascination as Stanley seems to devour the bones in swift chomps, lightly gagging at the thought of a were-hyena, not only eating at his table, but marrying his daughter. Anya looks at her future husband, saying that she can't believe she found such a sweet man. Stanley laughs and licks her, showing affection like an animal. Anya playfully bites him in return. Victor can't help but take a hard swallow of alcohol to deal with the sight. Victor, not so subtly, takes pot shots at Stanley, disguising it as table conversation. Greta warns him to stop, as Stanley continues to take everything in stride, failing to bite at Victor's consistent baiting of him and his kind. But instead, Victor doubles down, saying that he knows Stanley's kind aren't hunters, asking how he plans to provide for his daughter, saying that he didn't raise his daughter to eat garbage, let alone marry it. The two women of the family gasp at Victor's words, Anya telling her father he should be ashamed of how he's acting, and that no matter what he thinks, she truly loves him. Stanley takes her hand, the smile never wavering from his face. Victor tosses more insults, and Stanley begins to laugh, only causing Victor to grow more furious, shouting that he and his kind laugh even when they are being disrespected, partly transforming as he stands up. He calls his kind cowards that run at the first sign of danger, and asks how he can entrust his daughter to marry someone like him. Stanley, finally letting the smile drop, meekly answers, because he loves her. Victor shouts at him to prove it, turning around, revealing his progressive wolf-like features. He growls at Stanley, who, in a quick reaction of fear, falls back in his chair. Victor jumps up onto the table as Stanley cowers in fear. He scrambles to his feet and runs from the house as Victor screams for him to run, just like the spineless hyena he is. Still being polite, Stanley thanks Greta for the meal and says goodnight to Anya before leaving. Victor howls in contentment at his personal victory. Greta and Anya chastise him for his actions. He then triumphantly sits back down at the dinner table, howling as he continues to eat. The consistent howling catches the attention of Miss Peabody. Camera in hand, she says that what she's hearing isn't the howling of any ordinary dog. She sneaks up to the window to snoop on her neighbors, convinced they're up to something. She sees Greta and Anya giving Victor a dressing down for his behavior before storming off. She tiptoes over to the other window. Peeking in, she sees Victor in his half-monster form, eating the various limbs. Peabody believes that Victor killed and is now consuming Anya's boyfriend. She watches on in horror as Victor chomps on the severed foot like an ear of corn. Putting the pieces together, she determines the family must be werewolves. She snaps photos of Victor eating while whispering to herself that it was bad enough that they were foreigners. She rushes home and calls the police, telling them that her neighbors are werewolves. The police dispatcher's laughter can be heard on the other end as she continues to press the issue and plead for their help. Having called them previously about an Elvis sighting and various UFOs in the past, they are reluctant to take her claims seriously. She hangs up the phone in frustration. Later, Greta and Victor have a come-to-Jesus moment. She reminds him of the old country and how hard their mere existence was there, and that they're in a new place with new rules, and that if their new home is so much better that hyenas and wolves can find love with each other, then he should be more open and accepting of it. Her words reach his reluctant mind. It's clear in his body language that he knows she's right. Outside, Stanley paces in the front yard, trying to work up the nerve to go back inside, convinced that if he doesn't, he'll lose the love of his life. He continues to psych himself up, saying out loud over and over that his plan is to go in there and tell her father how he really feels about Anya, and that he shouldn't be judged for being a were-hyena. Just as he's about to enter, Peabody stops him, convinced that Stanley is a police officer, telling him that he needs backup to deal with a family of werewolves. Stanley lightly chuckles as she continues to spit venom and vigor at the family, saying that she had a hunch something was off about them. She demands that he call in the SWAT team, and that they load up on silver bullets, saying that they need to be wiped out. Stanley again nervously chuckles, asking why they would need to be wiped out. Peabody turns her back, saying how else would they keep the neighborhood safe for decent Americans. Partly transforming, Stanley laughs a bit harder, saying that he has a pretty good idea, lightly tapping her on the shoulder with his long fingernails. Inside the house, Victor relents, telling his daughter that it isn't his place to take away her happiness, and that here things are both different and better, and that if she loves Stanley and wishes to marry him, she has his blessing. Anya hugs him with tears in her eyes and a smile on her face. Just then, a fully transformed Stanley bursts in through the front door, with a box in hand, finally showing the backbone Victor wanted to see. Stanley says that he loves Anya, and he refuses his objection to their love, and that nothing will keep him from marrying her. Victor, proud that Stanley is sticking up for himself, accepts him as part of the family. Stanley offers Victor the box, saying that he wanted to prove that he can provide for Anya, asking if anyone wants dessert. He takes the top off the box, and the entire family looks inside. Stanley smiles, saying that it's just a little something he threw together. It's revealed to be the severed head of Peabody, with an apple in her mouth. Victor licks icing off his finger, and Greta jokes that Peabody did say that she wanted to bring the dessert. The family laughs and howls, as the screen fades to black. When it comes to the story of One Wolf's Family, the episode was produced during a time when horror anthologies were leaning heavily into moral storytelling wrapped in a creature feature aesthetic. The production team focused on tight, self-contained narratives built for modest budgets, which meant practical effects and limited locations were used extensively. This episode, like most others, follows that same approach, relying more on atmosphere and tension between characters than elaborate set pieces. One notable detail is that the episode was shot and completed in just a few days, with actors having limited rehearsal time. This contributed to the slightly stage-like performance. The creature design and transformation elements were handled with a mix of makeup, prosthetics, and sleight-of-hand editing. Because of that, lighting and camera angles had to be carefully controlled to hide the seams and enhance the illusion, especially in close-up shots. One of the most notable aspects is the casting itself. Victor, Greta, and Anya are played by Jerry Stiller, Ann Mira, and their daughter Amy Stiller, who are actually a family in real life. That casting choice wasn't just coincidence. The episode leans heavily into their family chemistry to sell the werewolf household dynamics, and that real-life connection helps their performances come off more naturally throughout the story. Jerry Stiller was also known for frequently working alongside his wife, Ann Mira, In addition to King of Queens and Seinfeld, they appeared together in projects like the 1998 film A Fish in the Bathtub, and even had their own sitcom, The Stiller and Meara Show, in 1986. As a comedy duo, they also performed together in sketches, commercials, and even appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show. If Robert Closey, who played Stanley, looks familiar, it's because his most well-known role in recent years is on the series Blue Bloods, where he plays Lieutenant Sidney Gormley. If you're a fan of horror anthologies, you might notice that Jerry Stiller's makeup in this episode is strikingly similar to his appearance in the Tales from the Dark Side story, The Devil's Advocate, even though the two appearances are about 5 years apart. Some fans have speculated that the same makeup artist may have contributed to the similarity, though there's no confirmed evidence of any direct connection at the time of this recording. But that's all I've got for you in this one. I want to say thank you for watching, and a very special thank you to our channel members. Take care, stay safe, and have a great week. And we'll see you in the next one.